Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. I'm your host, Marcus Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Leif and Brittany Bristow. And you know what? Let's bring them on down. Brittany, Leif, how are you?
Wonderful.
We're great.
It's great to see you
Good.
again.
Yeah, so
Always
nice.
love interviewing you all. You guys are great. Again, first thing, just in case it's changed, it's been a little while. First question I always ask, Brittany, ladies first. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you? Then we'll come over to your dad.
Okay. Authentic and authenticity to me are, I feel like I always give a different answer, but it's always
You
sort of
do.
the same.
You
But
do.
it's being true to who you are at all times, navigating your life in a way that's honest in terms of what you need while still being able to be present and there for the people around you. I think, there's one thing to being authentic to who you are in terms of waking up every day for yourself, but in doing that, you also have to be willing to give to the people around you and not jeopardize what's important to you, but also be really present and there and open to being vulnerable and generous with the people around you.
Love that. Leaf?
How do I top that?
Try.
You try your best.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
always you always
You're
do a
gonna
good
yeah,
give a
job.
better
You
answer.
always
Let's
do
be
a good
real.
job. You
yeah,
always do
yeah,
a good
yeah.
job.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I would it's kind of about a lot of what I would say. I mean, authentic and authenticity. You know, so much of what we have in the world around us is just it's cosmetic or it's a facade. And when you can pull the curtain away and see something for what it really is, that's important. And at the same time, as an individual, embracing um, the humanity around us and being open and honest with that, with with the people around us, and finding ways to bring people into your life, um, and more so because then you're receiving much more uh, than you imagine. So I think those are the important things to being authentic.
Leif and Brittany, as always, your answers are phenomenal. And you all have a book that's now a movie project, and we're going to be talking about that today. Leif, please share with us the book project that's now a movie project. Enlighten our global audience to what you all have coming around the bend.
Thank you. Yeah, there's the book is called Dancing Through the Shadow. It's the true story of a woman who came of age during the Cultural Revolution when Mao was in power. Um, and Agnes, my wife, Brittany's
My
mom,
mom.
uh, wrote the book, and it was a long journey.
Yeah.
The and what's wonderful is this is a story that's contemporary China in terms of history, because it's
Mhm.
it's within the last 50, 60 years, but it's a glimpse inside what China was like and what a family living with immense adversity had to overcome, um, and what they did, based on protecting the family. Tia ultimately defected from Russia, and from Russia, from China. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, whatever. I was thinking about the Russian teachers that they had.
Yeah.
Um, but where this whole book started, was, and I'll let Brittany explain a little bit about that, was that um, I, A and I were at the school getting a kind of a parent uh, review
Mhm.
for their child, and Brittany attended Canada's National Ballet School, which is where she graduated from in the professional program, and Tia was one of her teachers. And so somebody was explaining to us about Tia, and when we heard it, we said, this is an amazing story, and the level of adversity that she faced to arrive where she is today was a story that needed to be told. So you can tell a little bit about Tia.
Sure. It was very funny for me because I was in grade 10. So I guess that would be what in high school in the States? Junior? No.
Yeah, junior.
Yeah, I would have been a junior,
Sophomore.
sophomore in high school. And being at the National Ballet School of Canada, um, you have about 4 hours, 5 hours, depending on the day, of ballet per day. And every year at the
Mm.
beginning of the year, you're assigned a teacher. And that is your ballet teacher for the year. And in 10th grade, Tia was the teacher that I was assigned. And I was terrified. When I say I was terrified, I was like, oh no, because she was notoriously like one of the single most difficult teachers at the school. She was strict. She made you warm up by doing 264 jumps. Like you were not resting for a second. You were pushing every single day to your limit, quite literally. And having her as a teacher was a challenge. I mean, she was incredible and she taught me so much, but I just remember thinking like, oh, I'm not going to make it through this year. Like she's so hard on us. And I didn't know anything about her. I just knew her as this like tough woman who, on days where she could tell we were really struggling, she would sit us down, turn off all the lights, and we would meditate. And that was like everybody's favorite day because we were like, this is great. We get to just like sit here today. But she taught us so much about really tuning into yourself and realizing that you're capable of so much more than you limit your beliefs to allow you to think you are, but also recognizing when you need to take a second to sit in your body and be present. And it was so funny for me because I knew nothing about this story. And I think I was in grade 12
Well, it was when it was
because
she
she
retired.
retired my final year of high school. And I came home one day from school and Tia was sitting in my house. And I was like, ah, what is she doing here?
Wow.
Like, this is
Wow.
so scary. Why is this woman in my house? And then I got to know her. And my mom spent, God, like 6 or 7 years working with her to get her
Mm.
story. And she put in so much effort to make Tia really feel at home and really feel safe. And they really developed a really beautiful relationship. And Tia became a part of my life outside of the school. And as I learned more and more about her, so many things made so much more sense. She
Mm.
grew up at a time where if you didn't jump further than everybody, if you didn't jump higher, if you didn't work harder, you never got anywhere. And so much of that stayed in how she represented what she wanted her students to understand about themselves. And she's an incredible woman. I'm still like, we're still in touch today, and
Mhm.
getting to be a part of the movie, having an opportunity to play one of the people in her life. In a fictionalized way, but one of the people that was really instrumental in her life in terms of helping her leave, and sort of taking the steps towards the life she really wanted, was really, really special to me. And she is such an incredible, special woman in my life. But it started with me being absolutely terrified how I was going to survive an entire year with her being my ballet teacher.
Mm.
To give you a little context on Tia, um, so as I said, she grew up in Beijing. Her father was one of the most senior military men in China at the time, and when Mao came to power, he was one of the men and part of the group that surrendered Beijing to Mao. I mean, Mao was coming to a bit of a hero's welcome at that time, but everybody that was a member of that political party, which was the Kuomintang, were offered an opportunity to leave China. But they had basically one day to get it on a ship and go to Taiwan, which is the current government of Taiwan is that former Kuomintang government of China. And so when they walked for 3 days, took what possessions they could, they lived in a very, very wealthy big home in Beijing, which the government maintained to use as a museum to show the opulence of what the previous part of the government was. And when they got to the seashore, they had to get into a small boat to get out to the ship. When they went into the water to get into the boat, the soldiers recognized her father and started shooting machine gun fire into the air. A bullet came down and hit her brother's leg. And so they, because he was bleeding so badly, they rushed back to shore. They ended up being stranded in China. So they returned to where their home was. Her father was sent for interrogation for a few months, and then sent to be an administrator in a hospital 5 hours from Beijing, and permitted to come home twice a year. Her mother was in because, like everybody else, she was now forced to go work in a dress factory. And this is a woman who came from extreme wealth and had never had to go work. So now she's working in a dress factory where they did hold dances, and Tia loved to come to the dances. And so when they set up China's first ballet school of uh, what the ballets that we know, not historical Chinese ballet, Tia ended up going to that school. So she was part of the very first graduating class.
Mhm.
When she finished at the school, um, as she was finishing, she had always dreamed that she would be the prima ballerina, but Mao had a fight with the Russians, and all the Russian teachers went back to Russia. So she was assigned to be a teacher at the school.
Yeah, they felt that she was the best dancer in the program and the strongest dancer that had graduated. So when they were assigning roles to people instead of allowing her to go become a ballerina, they made her one of the people that was instructed that she would be staying to teach the future generations of ballet.
And when she was there, she was invited to pose for a statue that still stands at Workers Stadium. The CCP wanted to do statues of the most beautiful faces of the new Chinese regime. So she was standing next to a member of the Chinese athletic team, a hurdler, um, and they weren't supposed to speak while they were posing, and they would stand next to each other for hours every day. And she fell in love with him. And her mother wanted to do a traditional arranged marriage. Tia refused. She and mother were both very stubborn, and they didn't get along for a long time. Mother said, "You can't see him because he isn't educated enough, and he's too tall." Now that's a really good reason. He was too tall. So, at any rate, she persisted, and they didn't see each other for quite some time. Eventually, they had a total standoff, and mother finally said, "Bring him here. As long as he's willing to go get an education, I'll let the two of you date." Well, he had just enrolled in the Chinese School of Medicine at the university um, because he'd had too many injuries as a hurdler. So he asked a question while he was at school, and that question was put in his file. The day he graduated, he was sent to a labor camp near the Russian border that most people never made it back from. That was for him to rethink his thought process. And we have to remember that during that period in China, somewhere between 35 and 70 million people died under Mao's regime in what was called peacetime. Starvation, Mao attacked the people that could think. He labeled the press the enemy of the people, um, and then always tried to find the thinkers within society. He would imprison them so that the laborers would always feel that he had their back. And so um, while he was up there, Tia was given permission to go visit him. She went for a few weeks. When she came back, she found out that she was pregnant. And they had a quick marriage before he left because they wanted to be together. So they got married. And when after Tia gave birth, 56 days after she gave birth, she had to give up her son so that her mother and grandmother would take care of him. And she was sent to a labor camp because Madame Mao believed that ballerinas didn't know what hard work was about. So she only saw her son like twice in 3 years. So by the time Madame Mao decided to reopen the ballet schools and Tia came back, um, her son really didn't know her. So that became a very difficult time. Eventually, her husband was released. And then China had relationships with different countries that were coming in. And there was a woman from the British consulate, which Brittany played, that came and asked if she would come and dance with some of the dancers in the UK. So Tia was allowed to go, and when she got there, what she realized was that there were Chinese people because they drove through Chinatown in London. And she saw women in beautiful dresses and laughing and people going in and out of shops and sitting and just having food. And so when she returned, she said to Jason, "We have to leave," because what she was raised with is that if she was Chinese and never left the borders, people would kill her because they hated the Chinese. And that's what children in China were raised with as a way to partially maintain that control. So it was eventually She and her husband got out. It took many years for them to be able to get their son out. And Tia went on to create what the world now knows as Shen Yun, the 5,000 years of Chinese dance extravaganza you see the posters of all over the world.
There's a woman jumping like this.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
That's a terrible pose. She
Yeah.
would be very mad at me. She would tell me I have jumping arms.
Well, that's one, and still today in her mid 80s,
She's still dancing.
she's still dancing. She's
Wow.
considered the greatest authority on traditional Chinese dance.
Yeah.
She is when you see her dance,
She's like the single most graceful human being to have ever lived. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
she's great.
nuts.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
She still looks the exact same.
yeah, she's a magnificent human being.
Yeah.
You talk about strength of spirit and being authentic. She's never varied from who she is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the Tia you meet, the Tia you get to know, will be the same Tia that you're going to know for a long time. And
Well, what's
she's
interesting
honest.
too, like as a student of hers, one of the things that I thought was very interesting was some people I think could say this was inauthentic, but I think in a lot of ways it's true to who Tia is that she never brought any of her pain to her students. She was hard on you. And a lot of people were like dreading having her as a teacher because they knew how tough she was. But she was tough on people because she knew what their greatness was before they did. And I think that is something that as a teenager, it's really hard to understand. But she never brought her pain to class. She never brought her history. I would have never in a million years known any of this could have been even a fraction of the things that she had gone through because it was never something that she brought with her. What she brought with her was her desire and her determination to be grateful for the life that she had and grateful for what she was able to accomplish and grateful to have the ability to impact younger generations with the idea of thoughtfulness, kindness, and love. Even though she was the hardest teacher when it came to how she navigated classes and what she put us through
Well,
on
she
a
also
daily basis, it all came from a place of knowing that if we could see our own greatness and push beyond what we thought we were capable of, we were unstoppable. And that is like as a student of a teacher, it's tough. But then when you take a step back as a fellow adult now, I look at her and I go, wow, how incredible to not care if people think you're too hard, to not care if people think that you're yelling at them, to not care because you see that they're so capable and they just need to unlock that for themselves in order to be exactly what they should be.
yeah, she insisted that you have discipline and that you didn't give up.
Yeah.
And, so thinking about, the project of taking it from book to film, what's amazing about the book, it's available on Amazon. It's actually in the bestsellers list.
It's incredible.
Which is really wonderful. It's Aggie was, by getting to know Tia so well, and Tia said many times she never in her lifetime would have believed that as a Chinese woman, she would tell her story to someone who wasn't Chinese. But she and Aggie built a real bond. And when you read it, you're reading it through that first person. You see the world through Tia's eyes from the time she was, 12 years old to today.
Even younger.
Yeah, it's such a magnificent read. It's a very powerful book. It's very emotional for any reader. It's not, sure, you'll learn about Chinese history, but you really learn about someone like Tia. And what's so important about that is, there's 55 million people of Asian ancestry in North America. And for most of us, all we know about our Chinese neighbor or our Asian neighbors is Chinatown and Chinese food. We don't stop and ask. And, we don't, it's like the so many of the early Chinese settlers that came to North America came because they worked on the railway. They suffered the same indignities of so many marginalized communities that were just seen to be lesser. And people, it just, so you begin to understand a little bit more about our neighbor. And it's like I was saying at the beginning, if we want to accept and embrace the cultures and the people that make up the communities that we live in, we need to at least take that step to understand a little bit more. And sometimes a simple book like this can make you ask a question or give you that sense of confidence that maybe I know a little bit more about my neighbor that I didn't before. And there's thousands of people in North America whose journey and their family's journey are the same as Tia's, because that's the era they came from. So, and then we've been fortunate that now that we were able to do it as a film, and Aggie wrote the screenplay for that as well, and it's recently been picked up by MGM, and they now are distributing it around the world. It's had some wonderful exposure at some film festivals around the world, and then to have MGM pick it up for worldwide distribution has been a real honor.
Guys, this is the type of interview that I love, and I'm so glad you're able to stop by and share about the project, about the film. This has been an amazing interview. Can you just tell people where it's going to be? I know MGM picked it up. If they want to buy the book or they want to support the film, just take 1 minute and let everybody know where they can go. And this has been an amazing interview.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be with you again. You can go to dancingthroughtheshadow.com. There's a website dedicated to both the film and the book. You can order directly from that site. The book's available, as I said, on Amazon, Dancing Through the Shadow. It's available in, hardback, paperback, Kindle. And it's now arriving in bookstores. And we will put notices up on the website when we know precisely which streaming platforms it will be arriving on. We're waiting for a report from MGM that I'll get probably in about 3 weeks. That'll tell me where in the world it will be coming first.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a phenomenal interview. Go to Dancing Through the Shadows and pick up the book, pick up the hardback, the paperback, the whole 9 yards. Support this awesome project. When we know what's going to be streamed after MGM lets them know, we'll let you all know. We'll put that into the show notes. And again, the authentic tip of this great interview: learn to get to know people before you judge them. Take time, spending time knowing people, who they are, their experiences, their culture, what makes them them. This way you'll have the ability to know who people are and what they've been through. So again, get to know people before you judge them. Again, my name is Marcus Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. All right. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very
So
good.
nice
The book
to
was
see you.
amazing.
Yeah.